Hey everyone, welcome to the Heelcast. I'm TNA Dude, and this week I am joined by my brother-at-arms, Mr. Raven Effect. Raven!
What's going on, my man?
Not much, my brother. And Raven, of course, we are joined by our brother, Hurls. Hurls, how's it hanging, brother?
Well, it could be better, but I'm definitely here. I'm ready to talk some unfortunate circumstance, but hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, now look, Hurls, it's just like you said. It's been a big week for news and Impact Wrestling. And for those of you that don't know, this is actually our second take on a show. Unfortunately, we had some technical glitches with the first. So to get the show out to you, the TNA fans, we're actually going to skip the show recap this week. Our sincerest apologies to the great talent of Impact Wrestling. The show was great this week. If you haven't watched it, we encourage you to watch it. And we really appreciate everything that the talent's doing for us. They put on a great show, as they always do, and they're busting their butts for us. Unfortunately, guys, this week, their efforts, as great as they were, are trumped by the incompetency of their bosses. And since that's what everyone seems to be talking about and what everybody seems to want to hear about, unfortunately, that's what we need to discuss here on the Heelcast. Now, look, before we get into that news, Raven Effect has a message that he wants to send to all TNA fans. It's a strong message, but it's a message the entire Heelcast is behind, and it's a message that needs to be sent.
That's right. I also want to apologize to Griggs and to DK Drake, who were on the original show. We weren't able to get that one put out, so our apologies as well. But TNA fans, look, we had almost a record low rating this week for this Impact roster that went out in these tapings in Orlando during a fucking hurricane. A hurricane. And what did they do? This roster, these men and these women, busted their ass during these tapings, worked hard to put on literally 2 months of programming for your enjoyment. Okay? Some shit went on, okay? It sucks. No one likes to hear it. Why are you tuning out of the company? You should be fucking supporting the roster. You should be supporting them. Do you guys want a wrestling product on the air that's not owned by Vince? Seriously. You think Pop TV is going to want to keep them on when their ratings plummet because TNA has the most fucking unloyal fan base in wrestling? It's disgusting. Look at Oakland Raider fans. That team was dog shit for years, and yet those idiots were piling up fucking cheering away thinking they were going to the Super Bowl every year for the past 25 years. It's ridiculous. Cleveland Browns fans even show up and have fucking heart. Where are you, TNA fans? Seriously, all you guys piled out of here. Reasons I can understand for a little bit years ago, but this is insulting. This isn't a bad product at all. It's not at all. This isn't WCW in its dying days. This isn't the first half of 2014 TNA. This isn't the World Title Series. What the hell? Seriously, support this roster. Support TNA, support the wrestling business, for Christ's sake, because I know how shitty it is when Vince is the only thing in town. We're getting close to that now, and you guys just turn your backs. Big deal. Okay, seriously. You want to complain Eddie Edwards is a champion? Eddie Edwards was a champion in Ring of Honor. I don't see ROH fans turning their back on them. Matter of fact, Ring of Honor is literally shitting on your screen every week. Ring of Honor is terrible, and you don't see that fucking fan base turn away now, do you? No. You see unloyal TNA fans walking away thinking it's the end. You're making this the end. Fight. Have some dignity. Have some pride. Have some loyalty, because I'm just disgusted. Yeah, DK Drake and Griggs, they watched the show. They couldn't be on here. They gave their take. We talked about Impact. Unfortunately, we can't put it back on. But half of you guys didn't even tune in. It's disgusting. It really is. Support this roster. This roster won me over. My loyalty is with TNA. 3 letters that made it my brand. My loyalty is with Crazy Steve and Rosemary. My loyalty is to EC3, to Sienna, to Moose, to Mike Bennett, to Eli Drake, to Drew Galloway, to Lashley, to this whole fucking roster, the Broken Hardys, the Helms Dynasty, Gail Kim, seriously, Maria. It's just, where is your loyalty? Where is your brains? I'm serious. It's appalling. This is disgusting. Like, people are complaining that Eddie Edwards was a champ. Then they're complaining about Gail Kim being the Knockouts champ. She's still like the best ever. She hasn't lost a step. Seriously, big deal. She just wasn't the champ for a while. Okay, it happens. She has made talent. She has put them over. I wasn't happy that Brooke Tessmacher dropped the belt to her, but seriously, I'm not tuning out and crying about it. It's one division. Maybe things will happen. Maybe things will change. It's just, man, have some loyalty. Seriously. You have the Hardys busting their ass. You have, like, the entire division. The Hardys are putting shit on at their house. And you guys are tuning out. It's disappointing. And honestly, it's still the best wrestling product in the world. It really is. And this show, like, this year has been so damn good. And you guys are just slapping this roster in the face. This roster that won me over, that's won a lot of people over. 2016 has been a good year for TNA on screen. Show some fucking pride. I mean, yeah, was this After Bound for Glory? It hasn't been a goddamn home run show, but you can't do that every week. Seriously, stuff's getting built to. Have some loyalty, have some dignity. Pay back to the people that are busting their ass for your entertainment. At least give them a thank you. Tune in instead of watching and trying to help them, like, get off the air. It's just, come on, man.
You know, Raven, you touched on two things here in particular that bother me. First of all, people complaining about Eddie Edwards as a champion. The reason people are complaining, the reason Eddie Edwards is a champion is because at Destination X, everybody screamed for him to win the belt. I know I did. I just marked out at him having the opportunity to win the belt. So they're basically giving the fans asked for to begin with. So I don't know why people say, oh, Eddie Edwards is a weak champion. Okay, they could probably have booked him a little bit better this past week, but he's not a weak champion. He's a guy that has the exact perfect counter to Lashley at the perfect moment and nailed it. And Eddie Edwards is one of the classiest acts and one of the best wrestlers in the world anyway, so give the guy his props. It also drives me nuts that Gail Kim, literally the greatest knockout of all time, is they complain that she's the champion. Well, guess what? If you want to be the champion, be better than Gail, and that is not an easy thing to do. Nobody's done it, and that's why she's still booked in that position, because flat out, she is the best. And I'm tired of people saying that she's not a team player. She does everything TNA asks of her all the time. There's a reason that she's lost the belt as many times as she has. So, get over that already as well. And I think it was a perfect message to be sent. We need to be behind this product, and I could care less if your loyalty is a TNA or not. Your loyalty should be to the superstars of TNA. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get us to invest in these characters, invest in this talent. Well, guess what? With me, it worked. Okay, I'm invested in all those names that you mentioned, whether it be Rosemary and Crazy Steve, or God forbid Jeff Hardy, who's a guy who's done nothing but sacrifice his entire body all year with everything falling around him. He just keeps going out and doing it. Or a guy like Bobby Lashley, who's really stepped into his own and been completely dominant. These are the people that we need to support. So if you don't want to support Dixie Carter, don't support Dixie Carter. That's fine. But you know what? These folks, these great talent, they need a job, and they deserve to have jobs because they're out there busting their butts and they are delivering. This is, quite frankly, the best wrestling product in the world, and it's not close.
Yeah, back when WCW got bought out, I really didn't want to watch wrestling that much longer because I was such a huge WCW fan, and I just didn't want to watch only the Vince product. It just doesn't make things exciting. And sure enough, over time it got really stale. And, I'm seeing all my favorite WCW guys get jobbed out for the most part. And then lo and behold, 2004 comes and I'm turning on Fox Sports Net because I'm hearing about this new show called TNA Impact. And I see how different it was than WWE at that time. And I was a fan ever since, and I have not missed an Impact since. I've watched every Impact since 2004, and we need to have TNA because it gives a lot of fans like me a product to watch. And when I hear all this news about, what's been going on, it just breaks my heart because I would just love it just to have just nothing but positive news, or at least not have to worry about not having TNA in the future. So, a lot of wrestling fans too, what they do on the internet, it's like any type of negative story that comes out, they just jump on TNA and they just take their shots and they take their pop shots, and it's just so ridiculous that these fans root for a company to not do well. I mean, do these people not think that these are lives on the line? Like, these are what people do for a living. So it's just disgusting, and we need more unity, not jumping across. Like, I'm not a huge WWE fan, but I don't want them to go out of business. More wrestling companies, the better for the business. So it's just disgusting when I see these so-called wrestling fans laugh at all the stuff that's going on with TNA, and they take their jokes and their pop shots. It's disgusting, and that's what really turns a lot of people off from the wrestling community. So you guys should really think about the next time you make your troll accounts on whatever wrestling site you go on, maybe think about the wrestler's livelihood and how they support their families and what they do for us as wrestlers, to us as fans. So I'm just really upset with a lot of the comments.
Hurls, you still there, buddy?
Yep. I'm. That's really all I want to get off my chest for this part.
Yeah. So Hurls, you bring up a lot of good points, right? And there was a lot of really bad news this week. Now, folks, we're going to cover the news that's already been reported. We're not reporting any new news. We're giving our takes and our opinions. And it's very well known in the back that the talent and the officials of TNA will say, hey, look, the internet wrestling community, they comment on things and they don't know what they're talking about. Bottom line is we only know what they're telling us, but we care because they've asked us to care. We're invested because they've asked us to invest in the product. As a result, we're going to talk about what we know. We're going to give our opinion on what we think is going to happen and what we think is going down right now. It's not news, it's our opinion, but this is kind of where we are, and this is kind of what we think where we think we need to go with it. So the big news of the week is obviously Billy Corgan filing a lawsuit against Impact Wrestling, the parent company, Impact Ventures LLC, Dixie Carter directly, TNA CFO Dean Broadhead, and Dixie's husband Serge, right? And this was done in Chancery Court in Nashville last Wednesday. My understanding, Hurls, that they have a court date on this Thursday, right before Impact. Actually, is that correct?
Yes, we're going to be able to find out a lot more information this Thursday on what's the lawsuit about.
So all we know is what we've read, and that apparently Billy Corgan's investment was personally guaranteed by Dixie Carter and by Serge as well. Right, Raven, is that correct as well? This is the report I think that we got from Dave Meltzer.
I'll be honest, I don't know if that was the case or not. To be honest with you.
Okay, that's what I had read, that his was personally. Now, again, where he's getting his information, who knows? But Raven Effect, what does it mean to you that Billy Corgan, the president of Impact Wrestling, is now turning around and suing Dixie? What does this say about the state of the company?
Oh God. Well, look, this is the only fact we really know. Well, I guess there's other facts, but for me, it means the fucking savior may be gone. We don't know if Billy Corgan is still trying to get a hold of TNA. I pray and hope to God that is his intent. I know there was some rumor that stemmed from Meltzer that said that Billy wants completely out of TNA, and if so, that's disgusting and it sucks. And it's hard to stay positive and open-minded in that case. In my opinion, Dixie Carter's got to go. This is how many years now since she relieved Jarrett has she just taken this company downhill? The product has gotten so much worse. And then finally we hit a year where the product gets really, really good again, and this is still here. It's disgusting. She is literally like, if we're to believe what we're hearing, and we have all these companies suing her, because it's not just Corgan, it's like she's literally prostituting the company. If you pay for fucking tapings, if you pay for tapings, you can own part of the company. No one's going to want to own part of this company anymore. It's just sell the fucking thing to Billy, who was asking for it, who was trying, who knew what he was doing. Dixie Carter has literally if we're to believe everything we've read, because after a while it just fucking gets to you, and I guarantee not all of it is true. I guarantee not everything is true that we have heard or read on the internet that came from Dave Meltzer, that came from Wrestling Inc. or any of these horseshit sites. But you know, Meltzer's got some accurate stuff too. I'm not going to discredit the guy as much as I dislike him, but you know, she's just got to go. She's a cancer. I mean, she is just fucking drained this company. And you know, I know there's other stuff we're going to get into, but there's proof of it, that she's really not that good with money, and this company is kind of bled dry from what we're led to believe, and it's scary. And I hope to God that it ends up with Billy Corgan in charge of this thing.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario, I think, for everybody involved. You know, Dixie, she did a lot of good for the TNA in the beginning. I mean, she was the financial backer when Panda Energy was there, and she could do whatever she wanted, really, because she had the backing. But once things started going south, Panda Energy didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and that's when we really, really started to see the cracks. I just think if Billy Corgan is suing her, it shows a lot. It shows a lot. And in recent interviews, Billy was talking about a dark cloud. I'm pretty sure he's talking about her. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be talking about her at that point. But there's just so much negative press about her. It's just time to get a new regime. I mean, you get new coaches, it's just time to see something different. And I think now, more than ever, Billy Corgan's proven that he has a vision for TNA. He wants to make it something different. And who's not in favor of that? And especially after the stuff we've seen with the Hardys. Billy Corgan, I am all for him somehow getting a hold of this company. I pray that he gets a hold of it, because I just think he's got a great vision, and to see what he can do with it would be amazing. And you know, it's really frustrating every day when you're seeing these negative reports about TNA, and maybe, you know, some fans, it's hard for them to get engaged with the product when they know this crap is happening behind the scenes. So I don't know, but they gotta. But my advice to those fans, just stick with it, because we need you and TNA needs you more than you know. So I don't know.
You know, we talk a lot about how Hurricane Matthew had a huge effect on the TNA tapings. Well, not nearly as big as Hurricane Dixie's had, right, guys? I mean, let's face it, she's definitely self-destructing the company with it. And yes, a lot of this stuff is speculation, and there are a lot of rumors circulating. But let's face it, lawsuits are lawsuits. And when you have court documents, you have court documents. So the fact that Billy Corgan's suing her, folks, that's a fact. The fact that we're now hearing American Express is suing them, and actually that lawsuit dates back to July. It's just now being uncovered. That's a fact as well. The state of Tennessee's tax lien, a fact. Knowing that TNA owes money to Aero Luge, Anthem, which is the parent company of the Fight Network, MCC Acquisitions. There's also A1 Entertainment, I think, is one. These are all lawsuits that have been filed that we know about. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to break this down a little bit and give you my personal take on what I think Dixie's doing, what I think Billy's doing, and where I personally believe this is heading or should head. Obviously, this is just one individual's take, but kind of break down what's in my head. First of all, years ago, and Raven Effect, I know you're aware of this, but Dixie Carter had done an interview with Sports Illustrated, and in there she talked about her background, and her father was a serial entrepreneur, and he was constantly bankrupting companies. So they've one failure after the next. They had their car repossessed. I mean, they really had nothing at all. They were completely bankrupt. But he just kept at it. And sooner or later, he wound up with Panda Energy and became a billionaire. And she's proud of that upbringing, because it showed her what it was like to work hard and what it was like to start with nothing. Now, here's the thing, guys. The lesson that you learn when you bankrupt a company is how to bankrupt the company. And so if you have a company that's going downhill, there's a certain way to take it downhill. Now, I'm not an expert in it because I haven't physically done it, but I'm fairly convinced that Dixie is getting advice from her father, Bob Carter, at this moment. Now, let's think about what she may be doing. Again, pure speculation. Raven Effect, you mentioned that if you fund some tapings, you can have a piece of the company. Well, guess what? If I give you $600,000 for a piece of a company, I now have a $600,000 investment in your company. I'm now interested in making sure this company doesn't go bankrupt, which means that when it comes to the next set of tapings, if they don't happen, I know the company goes bankrupt, I've lost my $600,000. So I'm more likely to put in money to protect my $600,000. In addition, if I get 2 or 3 people putting $600,000 in now, when I want to sell the company, I got 2 or 3 bidders. So by constantly going out to people and getting money from this one, from that one, from the other one, she's actually creating a market for her company of potential suitors. Now look, we all know the obvious. It's also probably because Billy Corgan's like, I'm not just going to keep giving you money. I'm done, right? Aeroluge is probably like, look, we're done. Because at some point in time, they're saying, hey, wait a minute. We just want the company for ourselves because we put so much in. But again, the more people that she gets into it, the more suitors she gets. And she clearly is not getting the offer for the company that she wants for the company, or she'd sell it. Because quite frankly, she knows, just like we know, that she's running this company in the ground. So that's what I think Dixie is ultimately doing. Now, whether this is all done intentionally or not, I don't know. But I do know that Bob Carter's done this before multiple times, and so he would know a lot more than TNA Dude about how to do this. Now let's look at this from Billy Corgan's perspective. And the same thing could be said about Aeroluge, Fight Network, right, and some of the other ones. Billy Corgan's going to look at this and he's going to go, I want to buy a wrestling company. And Impact Wrestling, struggling wrestling company, is an ideal purchase for me because I can get it cheap and I have TV deals in place. I have a wrestling vault, I have a roster, I have gimmicks, I have fans. All I need to do is change it up a bit and make it profitable. And if you look at what he's done over the last year, the Broken Hardys thing, what he's done with the Decay, I mean, these are just 2 really innovative things that he's done, right? And he's built numerous superstars throughout the year. I mean, we don't even need to go into that. But he now knows that he can take this product and he believes he can make it a winner. But he has to do it at the right price. So if I'm Billy Corgan, I'm saying to myself, I need to force a sale because I know what Dixie's doing. I'm not stupid. She's going to keep taking money from people and not giving up the company. So the part that's fuzzy to me is where people are saying that that Billy had some sort of an agreement that Dixie would sell him the entire company at some date and time. I don't know how that works, that they would have some agreement without an actual signed agreement to buy the company. So I don't know how much of that I believe, but I do believe that he wants to buy the company and that he's trying to, at this point, keep Dixie from giving any more away. I mean, let's face it. Rumor now has it that the Fight Network has some of the tape library because she's sold that out. I think there's actually a financial restraining order against TNA to keep them from selling off any more pieces because of all the creditors. Now, where I think this is going is the following. If nobody does anything, this company's done. It's gone. It's in bankruptcy court. But if I'm a creditor, and right now the creditors are up to about $4 million, not including Billy Corgan, from what we can tell, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, if this goes to bankruptcy court, the only thing we've got left is the tape library, or whatever's left of it, right? Because maybe Fight Network's already got that. How much of my money am I going to get back? Not much, because WWE is going to come in, they're going to offer him $1 million, and that $1 million is going to get broken up and everybody's going to get 25%. What's worth something are those TV deals. Billy Corgan wants the TV deals. What's worth something are the roster and the gimmicks. Billy Corgan wants to take all of that as well. So it's worth more for Billy Corgan to buy it than anybody else. Now, maybe Aeroluge wants it, maybe they don't. I find it hard to believe they want to run a wrestling company, but that's just my opinion. Regardless, this company is worth more before it goes bankrupt to Billy Corgan and to Aeroluge or anybody else that's interested in it. So they don't want it to go bankrupt either. So my opinion, Billy Corgan is going to wind up buying this company because he's going to be the highest bidder. He might pay $4 million for it and pay off the debt and be done with it. He may also just take the whole thing, basically take it bankrupt, go to the creditors, and negotiate settlements with them. Look, I don't want the brand Impact Wrestling anymore. I really just bought it for the television contracts. Here's a deal. I'm going to bankrupt this company, and you're going to get nothing, or we'll give you some percentage of what you'd otherwise get. Dixie Carter could do the same thing. If I am a creditor in this situation, I'm taking that payout, not 100% payout. I'm taking what I can get because I don't think these folks get all of it. And honestly, Raven, I think that Billy Corgan winds up with this company. I think he winds this company for maybe what the debt is, maybe a little bit less.
I don't know. I guess the pessimist in me, like I've seen how WCW went away and it happened so fast. I don't know what WWE's end game in this is right now. I don't know if they really want to pay a ton for TNA. So we may have that going for us. And I know Billy Corgan really wants the company. I mean, you can tell he's got a passion for wrestling. I mean, he has the money to do it. And, so I would think, hopefully, if he gets control of the company, I will feel a lot better about TNA because I think he has a really good vision for what's to come and stuff that we haven't even seen yet. He was talking about in one interview that he wants to do some virtual reality type stuff. I mean, that would be really cool. I don't know how it would work or how it would all fit together, but that would be really awesome. But we got to go through this first, and we have to see what's going on. It's really sad though that Dixie let it get to this point. Instead of like running Impacts all the time at the Impact Zone, which I don't know, there's some reports that said TNA was profitable in 07 to 09. I mean, I know they were running house shows at that time. It's just too bad that she really had to change up everything because if you had a formula that was working, why fix it? But I mean, I wonder if Spike TV was all about bringing in Hogan and Bischoff. I know they have a really good relationship with Eric Bischoff. And I'm not going to put all the blame on them because it wasn't all them, but it just seemed like they could not handle taking Impact on the road. It was just too much money. And around 2012, 2013, that's when, wrestler talents were leaving because of money issues. You heard, Magnus said, they had a dispute over money. TNA didn't want to pay AJ Styles what he was currently making, so that's why he left. So, you started hearing about these financial problems, and then you heard Panda Energy had no business with TNA anymore. So they were kind of on their own. The other interesting thing around that time was the rumor that Toby Keith and Jeff Jarrett were going to buy it, but Bob Carter would have sold it to them, but he made a demand that Dixie Carter had to be kept on an on-air role with the company, and they didn't want that. So, I mean, there were opportunities to sell the company before, but now it just has to get as ugly as it possibly can get. And the worst thing that could happen is we have no more TNA, because I'm sure a lot of us that watch TNA, where would we go as wrestling fans? Would we go to WWE? Would we go to Lucha Underground? Would we go to Ring of Honor? Well, none of those products have that TNA flavor that we like. So I think a lot of us probably would stop watching wrestling altogether, and that's pretty sad because, I mean, we all grew up with it and we're big fans, and we would like to keep watching. And there's a reason why TNA drew us to the product to begin with. So I'm really hoping for everything to go well, and hopefully we'll still have a TNA come 2017.
How in the hell are you not paying your taxes? I mean, this tax lien thing, they're being sued by the state of Tennessee. Like, is Dixie going to fucking jail? Like, you don't fuck with the IRS. You don't not pay taxes. It's like, what? I mean, this is some shit we would hear and be like, yeah, right, okay, Dave Meltzer. No, it's like fucking true. I'm sorry. You want to know? She's got to go. Sell it to Billy. Sell it to Arluge. Just get out.
Hey, Raven, in fact, maybe she's found Donald Trump's loopholes.
Maybe she has.
With Hillary Clinton's lawyers, right?
I guess. Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I slammed both of them. I'm equal opportunity anti-politician.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, our country's a
We're screwed. We're screwed.
Yeah, we
Folks
are. It's
out
like
of the country, congratulations. Let us know where you live. The Heelcast is coming to a town near you.
Oh, man. But, I mean, does Billy want to buy this? Does Billy want to buy a company that's being fucking like the fucking IRS is coming after them, for fuck's sake? There's like $4 million in debt. Do you want to buy into that? I mean, that's one thing that concerns me. And, you know, like I was saying, with why people need to be tuning into Impact on Pop, whether you're a fucking TNA fan or not. I mean, think of this. If this company falls and Billy says, okay, I let TNA die, all right, I'm starting my new company, I'm hiring this roster, they're all on board with me, or most of them or whatnot. I mean, there's a start. That's what we need. But you got to tune in and make Pop want to actually keep the TV deal. This is like, people need to think of this at all angles. And, you know, like Dixie Carter, she's not the captain going down with her sinking ship. The crew is going along doing their job really well, but the captain's sinking it. And instead of going down with them, she's got lifeboats, but she refuses to fucking hand them out. At least that's how it sounds. Billy is that lifeboat. And it's just, it's disturbing because, you know, Hurls talked about, are you going to be a wrestling fan or not? Probably fucking not here. If GFW doesn't come around, if Billy Corgan doesn't start a new company, no. Okay, I used to enjoy ROH, but it was never anything that was like, hey, I'm gonna be there forever. Like, no. And I know how shitty WWE is. I remember how shitty it was when there wasn't much competition or anything to go. I watched WCW and ECW guys get just embarrassed. I watched Taz look like shit. I watched Tommy Dreamer eat his own hair. I watched fucking Mike Awesome get beat by Bob Holly. You know, it's just...
Did you miss Steve Austin taking a piss on Arn Anderson?
I didn't, but you don't trust Arn Anderson. You piss on that guy.
That's right. Did you miss the part where he fired Jeff Jarrett on TV?
I did not either. I missed that too.
Yeah, so I mean, these are things that, like, this is how you lose fans. You know, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and Vince McMahon certainly did not read that book. Look, the bottom line is Raven, you bring up some good points about Billy Corgan forming his own company. He's not going to be able to do that between now and when these tapings expire, right? And somebody has got to step up and pay for this quote-unquote next set of tapings at Camp Hardy. And I don't see where Camp Hardy is going to be that much cheaper to film at than where they're filming, you know, in the Impact Zone, because they've got everything set up down there. I'm sure it'll be a little cheaper, but I can't imagine that it's not cheaper. But and this company's got some serious issues. You know, they couldn't even play, you know, Mike Bennett's music or DJ Z's music this week because they don't have rights to it. I mean, Hurls, how pathetic is that? That they owe money and they can't even play the music. Has that ever happened before? I mean, to me, this is unprecedented.
Only on the WWE network when you watch old WCW Nitros and they can't play Chris Jericho's theme song. But other than that, no, I don't think this has ever happened. And Dale Oliver must have some lawsuit on TNA as well, because we didn't hear Miracle. We just heard the piped in cheers from the fans. We didn't hear DJ Z, and that I mean, that just can't happen. Something has to give right now, and I think everything is going to give. But the question is, what are the next impacts going to be like? Are we not going to hear the same music again? I mean, it just looks bad. I mean, Billy Corgan, she's got to give the company to Billy Corgan. I think that it just has to happen. We cannot have stuff like this occur any longer. And I'm not sure how true this report is, but if John Gaburek is trying to sell the TNA library to WWE to get a job with WWE, that guy's an asshole. And he just seems like a lowlife. if that report is true. And if it's not, I'm sorry, but if there's any ounce of truth to that, that guy's just a POS, because you don't do that. I mean, it's just low. It's like selfishness. All you're thinking about is yourself. So I just kind of wanted to comment on that story too, because it really wasn't talked about yet. But I mean, if you could, if there's any light at the tunnel, it's got to be Dixie on her way out and Billy Corgan getting control of the company, because Billy Corgan's been a businessman all his life with the Smashing Pumpkins. He owns the library to the Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, they've made some great music. They do great on their tours. I think if anything, Billy would get TNA profitable again, and hopefully they would start doing some house shows, because a lot of wrestling companies, like Ring of Honor especially, that's what they live on. Sure, they got Sinclair Broadcasting supporting them, but they do a lot of live events. So why can't TNA do that? And I don't mind them using the Impact Zone every once in a while, but at least do some house shows. That's kind of, if Billy Corgan gets control of the company going in 2017, that's what I would really want. And that's pretty much it on that subject for me.
Yeah, you know, it really sucked watching Impact this week to have Mike Bennett not come out with his theme music, because goddamn, I love Mike Bennett's theme song. Sorry, Eco Bro. And I mean, my God, how many more issues can pop up in a week? You know, like it's real bad. It's sad, and man, you're not even using your own music. You know, I know Bennett sent out a tweet about that, and you know, we talk about the Gaburik rumor, and it makes me sick. It makes me sick to hear it. And look, it's a rumor. We're not going to report this as true, but you know, I've fucking hated Gaburik, and I've kept down. I've stayed positive for the guys, and truthfully, there hasn't been a lot for me to gripe about until recently, because honestly, I've enjoyed the product a lot, and I still am enjoying the product a lot. It's just you hear this stuff and it bothers you. But if this guy were to have done what he did and went out and went to Kevin Dunn in the WWE and tried to sell the TNA tape library in exchange for Gaburik to get himself a job with the WWE, it makes me sick. And I've said this for years. If you were to fucking tell me in the end, if everything went to hell and ended, if John Gaburik was working for Vince McMahon to try and finally put the nail in the coffin, I would not be shocked. This guy has had the WWE's best interest at heart. Seems almost his entire tenure. He came in 2014. We had the worst fucking product I've ever seen in wrestling for the first half of the year. It was just horrible vision, horrible garbage on the screen. You had the Sam Shaw shit. You had the fucking menagerie was just a flop. It was garbage, terrible. You ruined Magnus. It's disgusting. He sucked. Okay, and then we get it. We were going to lose Austin Aries or AJ Styles, but then you run out Austin Aries, you kill off all the momentum you have the guy for the guy that should have been the face of that company for a while, or the other one in Bobby Roode, and he just wasted him as well. He took Bad Influence, your hottest act, still one of the best tag teams in the entire world. You guys can still fucking go like nobody's business, who were an amazing act, and you job them out and you let them go. You took almost all of the best talent and you washed it all out. He did the Hernandez stuff and made MVP be the scapegoat because he didn't do his fucking job and check some goddamn contracts. You are the one in charge. I understand the guy's job is probably hard and all. He's probably got more strings than we understand, and I'm not going to dispute that his job's probably harder than I realize, but give me a fucking break. That is despicable. Go behind your back like you are just fucking selling it to the devil is what you are. Literally taking it and selling it to the devil. It's disgusting if that is the case. But I don't know if that's true or not, and I do apologize for going on a rant. That the rumor made me sick. I don't know if it is a rumor or not, and if it is not a rumor, then I do apologize. We're not reporting that as fact by any stretch of the imagination.
You just realized you said you apologize if it's not a rumor.
I do apologize if it is a rumor.
If it is a rumor, that's right. No.
As long as it's a rumor, John Gaburik, you're cool.
You're cool. We love you. We love you lots. So here's the thing. I see this a little bit differently than Raven Effect does. To me, John Gaburik, he has, fiduciary responsibility to the company. And one way to provide a to handle that is trying to make the company as much money as it can. If he thinks that there's a possibility that WWE can either come in and outbid everybody else for that library, that vault, let's call it, then he needs to try to bring them in if he can, because that's what he needs to do, because that's what would be in TNA's best interest if it gave them more money. The very least what they're doing is they're saying, hey, look, WWE is another potential suitor, and the more suitors that you have, the better it is for the company, where in this case the company's Dixie Carter. Now look, I've made my, opinion on Dixie very clear over the years. I think she's great from $0 to $1 million in terms of taking a small company, keeping it small. I do think that this is just a bigger company than what she's meant to lead. Not everybody's meant to lead this company from startup. It's a very difficult thing, but it's also a difficult thing to grow a company, and it's a difficult thing to manage an existing large company. They're all equal, in my opinion, but they're different skill sets. She has the former, not the latter. So, in my opinion, I think Gaburik is trying to do what he thinks is in Dixie's best interest by finding another suitor. The other thing is let's go to him trying to get a job out of it. Let's face it, if Dixie goes, Gaburik goes. If he's trying to help Dixie and he reports to Dixie, in my mind, he hasn't done anything wrong. Now, do I agree with Raven Effect that selling this library to WWE would be selling your soul to the devil? Oh, hell yeah. I can't stand Vince McMahon. I can't stand the WWE. I totally believe that Vince McMahon is the devil reincarnated. If you just look at his track record, people talk about how bad Hillary Clinton's track record is. She's a freaking saint next to freaking Vince McMahon. And oh, by the way, Donald Trump treats women wonderfully next to what Vince McMahon's done over the years. So the guy truly is the devil. But if we're going to talk about John Gaburik, in this situation, he's doing what is in his company's best interest, and that's what you have to look at. You just kind of have to look past the negatives of how it could affect us as wrestling fans.
I do understand your point, and I get it, and I could understand in a way, but in another way, no. Like, look, you're protecting Dixie Carter's best interest are when her fucking parents die. As terrible as that is to say, that girl is going to get she has an inheritance that literally that entire roster could fucking split.
Well, he could knock off her parents. If he knocked off her parents, she'd have some money to keep funding
or knock
tapings.
One up. Who cares?
Or knock one up. But that's not the topic here, all right?
No, the topic is that roster. There is how many people on that roster, but let's not count production jobs. Let's not talk the JBs, the Josh Matthews, the Pope, the fucking the old. I guess Christy Hemming's not there, but. Look, their lives, their rosters, their livelihoods are at stake. Their careers are at stake. You're like,
but he doesn't. Sadly, he doesn't represent them. But we do.
He doesn't. But look,
Billy
Corgan,
we're their
Billy
voice right
Corgan
now.
does. Okay, we do. We're trying at least. And look, but Billy Corgan, the guy that could possibly buy the company, that could save those jobs, that could save their lives, he's weaseling behind his back, trying to sell that shit off. Assuming this is true. Because we don't know if it is. If this was the case, he's going behind Billy's back, the guy who's, apparently supposed to be purchasing this company to be the savior for not only the fans, but more importantly, the people whose livelihood depend on this. And he's trying to sell it to Vince so he can fucking make some more subscriptions while, who knows who's getting fucked over in NXT, jobbing out to whatever or whatnot. Maybe for some people like Rosemary and stuff like that there is something. But Mike Bennett going back to ROH or whatnot, where they don't know how to use the guy. A lot of people don't want to go live in Japan and make a living in the indie. What do indies pay? I'm sure they do a little bit better than they did back in the territory days and whatnot. I really don't know.
I doubt it, man. I doubt they're paying much.
I hope people can make a living and support their families, or whatever they got to do, their animals, whatnot. It's just, man, I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not the truth to it. And I'm not saying it is, and I do apologize if it's not true at all. But it's sick.
Well, I think being with TNA, you have a national TV deal, which definitely, TNA allows their wrestlers to take indie booking, and they probably get more money, obviously, because they're on national TV. I mean, how many indie companies can bring somebody who's on national TV the day prior? So, this really benefits both, but without TNA, I mean, you don't have that anymore because WWE locks in all their wrestlers. You can't do indie shows, and Ring of Honor, I think they've gotten more strict on that. They have obviously the deals with New Japan and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, but that, you can't just go anywhere. So, TNA is a place for wrestlers to get more exposure. I mean, how many wrestlers have we seen come through TNA that we've never seen before? Because, I mean, I'm not a huge internet guy where I'm going to go out and check this person out all the time. I don't have enough hours in the day to do so. So when I see them on TNA for the first time, that's my first time ever seeing them anywhere. So, this is a really, really big thing that's going to come ahead full force. And for the benefit of the wrestling business, TNA needs to stay, and they need to be on Pop TV come 2017. It's imperative, because I just don't see anything coming remotely close to WWE. I mean, Ring of Honor is such a niche product. It's just not comparable. Lucha Underground, very creative, very different, but it's not for everybody. And New Japan, I mean, it's a Japanese wrestling promotion. I mean, they are trying to cross with America a little more, but I mean, everybody needs to keep this in mind, that TNA is the next biggest thing in the United States of America. They're the next big thing next to WWE. Gigantic monster, but there's TNA. They're the next highest thing to WWE. So it's just a very, very, we're all passionate about TNA, and that's why Raven, you're getting so heated. And it's understandable, because this stuff shouldn't be happening. We should be worrying about what TNA is doing right now. Who's Eddie Edwards going to feud with? I mean, he's got a match with Cody Rhodes. That's going to be awesome. We're all looking forward to that match. We shouldn't be talking about the backstage stuff. But unfortunately, we are talking about the backstage stuff, because it's in all over the wrestling community, and you can't ignore it. You have to address it. And we're not really getting a lot of answers. We'll find out more on Thursday. But in the meantime, it's like, how many people are going to be worried about what is in that lawsuit more than actually what's happening on Impact? And that's just a travesty, and it sucks, and I hate it, and I just want it to go away.
Know what really makes that worse? Is that some of the talent is actually reporting that they've had the best matches of their careers during these tapings. And here we are talking about the incompetent bosses. Think about that, folks, as you're listening to this podcast. These guys are putting on the greatest matches of their lives, and nobody's talking about it, because it's just dwarfed by the dark cloud. And you know what else is that there's a report, and I'll be honest with you, Hurls, I don't buy this report, because it just seems too loosey-goosey for me. But I wouldn't blame them that this weekend's a pay period, and that some of the talent's ready to walk if they're not paid. And if you think about it, I mean, I'm sure there's always somebody out there that says that. I mean, I'm sure it happens at every tape. If I don't get paid, I'm late. And then they never do, right? So I suppose that somebody probably said it. But this time, could you blame anybody that walked for not being paid when Dixie is constantly selling little its and bits of the pieces of the company, and the sky is falling and nobody's telling you anything? I mean, honestly, would you blame them if they walked? Because if they walked, I would applaud them. Their talent, they did a job, they need to be paid for the job, because they've got mouths to feed, they've got bills to pay.
I wouldn't blame them one bit. They got to do what's right for their family. They're just looking out for their best interest. And like you said, we don't know how true this report is. I mean, we've heard this for numerous times over the last 2 years about pay issues. I mean, I can't even count how many times we heard about this. But if they walked and they showed up on Ring of Honor or WWE, they're doing what's best for them. And I'm not a wrestler. I don't know what they go through. I don't know what they have to, what their bill situation is like. So if they're not getting paid, I mean, just think about it. Like, we show up to our jobs and we do it for free. No, none of us would do it. I mean, unless you really, 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 really love what you do. And I'm not saying the wrestlers don't love what they do, because I'm sure they do. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for your family. So no, I wouldn't blame them one bit.
No, you can't. I'm sure they're loyal to each other in the locker room. The brothers and sisterhood that they share, the bond. You protect one another when you're in the ring and whatnot. Like any of us, their loyalty is probably not to Dixie Carter. I mean, if I'm not getting paid for my job, I'm not going to stay there. And I'm sure these people make more than us, but look, they're not making, WWF, WCW, Attitude Era, and Monday Night War salaries, where Ric Flair at one time was the highest paid athlete in the entire world, more than Michael Jordan at one point. Like, that's not happening, especially with TNA. You can't blame them, and it sucks to hear. And, when you're not paying your taxes, when you're not paying your credit card company, it's kind of hard to think, okay, the late payments aren't happening, because the late payments probably are happening. We've been hearing it for years. We haven't been hearing it for a while, and that was nice. And the shitty thing I want to say that I wanted to bring up earlier was that, like, Pop TV, they're actually fucking happy with TNA. They were happy with the numbers. Like, this isn't Spike or Destination America. We don't got to worry about if Pop's dropping TNA, and then all of a sudden everyone just tunes out in a mass exodus. It sucks because we just had a show, and we have to talk about this in the news, and we're hearing more and more rumors, and we're hearing about people leave. We have to talk about this stuff because, when I get a text from my friend who hasn't watched wrestling in 20 years or so, that used to be a huge wrestling fan, only watches MMA, sends me a text just the other day that he saw on a major website. Dude, I didn't know Billy Corgan, the most soft-spoken alt-rock voice of all time, was a president of TNA Wrestling. It's stuff like that. And, I mean, you can't... Anyone that wants to get upset or say that the wrestlers are traitors or turning their backs on TNA, no. You gotta make a living. You do. And it's not fair. None of us would do that. You can say they make more money than the most of us. Well, maybe they do, but their bills and their expenses probably reflect that too. And these people are on the road traveling a lot as well. They're not at home. There's a lot of expenses on the road. There's fucking cars, there's gas, there's food, there's where are you going to sleep? What are you going to wear? There's plenty of that stuff. It's sad. It really is. I hope it's not true as well. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, guys, in terms of wrestlers being paid on time and late, when you're an independent contractor, you always get paid late. I am sure that promoters out there pay the talents late all the time, and that's why when you have a small promoter that's never, they never worked for before, most of the time they want their money up front just to make sure that they get paid. So my guess is that a late payment's probably not the end of the world. Is it something that they should be doing? No, they should be on time, but my guess is that companies do this stuff all the time. I'm an independent contractor, and it's like, oh look, I check's late this month. It always does come, but you gotta be paid, and more importantly, you've gotta know you're gonna be paid. And so when you stop thinking the company has the ability to pay you, that's when you're gonna pull. And right now, I can't blame anything or anybody for feeling that way, Raven. I just can't.
No, you can't. And this is just one thing, because we talked about how people are tuning out because of what's going on with the ratings and what's going on the stage. I know this is a little off topic, but the thing I want to say, guys, we have Eddie Edwards defending the title against Cody. That's coming up this. My dog is that excited about this match. Okay, we have Moose versus Bobby Lashley. Okay. Because so many of you didn't decide to tune in. And what I'm saying is, every TNA fan that listens to this show, I want you to send it to anyone who claims to be a wrestling fan or a TNA fan. And I want you to fucking tell them to listen to this. And I want you to call people out on Twitter and tell them to tune in and watch TNA, because this, it's unacceptable. Okay, we're Moose versus Lashley finally happening this week, and people are just fucking not tuning in. It's sickening.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you guys more. Now look, folks, we've really talked our piece here, and this is the kind of thing that we do because we are very, very, very passionate fans, and we're passionate Impact Wrestling fans. But look, guys, we're pretty much out of time. There is one last thing that the Heelcast wants you to do, and we've already started it from the Heelcast account earlier. And that is, we'd like you to just take the time to tweet the stars of Impact Wrestling, your favorite talent, all the talent. Let's try not to forget, folks. And just tell them thank you. Thanks for everything you do. Thank Jeff Hardy for putting his body on the line. Thank Bobby Lashley for being a two-sport athlete when he doesn't need to be. Thank Rosemary and Steve for bringing the decay to us. Thank Matt Hardy for being Matt Hardy. Tell him we love him. Tell Eddie Edwards that we love him and everything that he's done for Impact Wrestling over the years. And that he's a deserving champ, because he is. You know what? Thank the camera guys. Thank the entire staff. Thank the folks in the back. But tweet to them and thank them. Because let's face it, you can tell this is hard on us. We know it's hard on you. But this is really about that talent. This is really about the people whose lives really are affected. Because at the end of the day, we're going to find entertainment one way or another. But this is their jobs. This is their livelihood. This is what they train for their entire lives. And they do it for us. They do it to entertain us. They don't have to put on these matches. They don't have to put their bodies out on the line. But they do. They do it to entertain us. And I think it's important that at this time that we band together. Just like Raven Effect said earlier in this podcast. Let's band together. Let's support that talent. Let's give them what they deserve. Most importantly, let's watch this show next week. So guys, look, on behalf of the Heelcast, Raven Effect, and Hurls, guys, it's been a great show. I know I'm glad I got this stuff off my chest. I'm sure you guys are as well. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead.
No, just absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.